Good morning students, welcome to your English session. Today we are going to study geography. So most of you might have got confused, some amazed that what is ma'am talking. She is saying welcome to the English session and she's our English teacher. Then why is she saying that today we will study geography? My dear students, today I am going to teach you an English poem which is named Geography Lesson. Now this poem is written by Zhulfikar Ghose. As you can see, geography lesson, you can see in the picture that there is an aeroplane. Now what is an aeroplane doing in a geography lesson? Why has the poet kept a subject of geography and a plane together? Let's see. Now this is Zhulfikar Ghose. He is a Pakistani American novelist, poet and essayist. He's a resident of Texas. His works are primarily magical realism blending fantasy and harsh realism. So Zhulfikar Ghose is a renowned novelist. That means he writes novels. He's a poet and he's an essayist also. He writes essays also. His work is known for magical realism. Now what is magical realism? Magical realism comprises of fantasy and realism. Harsh realism, he would say. Fantasy is something that you imagine and realism is something that is real. Now how can these two terms come together? Fantasy, blending means mixing fantasy and harsh realism. That reality which pinches to the people. We say na, such is kadwa. Truth is bitter. So he combines that truth, that bitter truth with imagination. And how he does so, we can easily figure out in this that he has named the poem as geography lesson and introduced a very important prop here, that is an aeroplane. Now, in this poem, you'll see that the poet describes the view of a city while he travels in a jet. So now you can figure out why he mentions or there is an aeroplane shown with the title of the poem. This is because that poet is traveling in a jet, in a plane, and he is viewing the city from there, the land from there, and he describes the view of the city. From 10,000 feet above the ground, city looks different as if it is a geographical design. So the poet says that when I am at 10,000 feet height, the city looks different to me. It looks like a beautiful geographical design, everything in structure. Systematic design. Some facts are clear to him but some unclear, and when he sees this, certain facts come into his mind and he says some of them have become clear but some are still unclear. Some disturbing questions come to his mind when he sits in the jet and he is curious enough to find answers to the questions which are unclear to him. Let's read the first paragraph. When the jet sprang into the sky, it was clear why the city had developed the way it had. Seeing it scale 6 inches to the mile, there seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard, unplanned and without style when the jet sprang into the sky. Now, let me comprehend this for you. It's an easy poem. Once you understand it, you will figure out what the poet is trying to say. So the poet says when the jet sprang into the sky, when the jet went up into the sky, it took off, it was clear why the city had developed the way it had. He could see the city from top. Now when you are on the land and you see the city, how you see the city? You see the city like this. As you can see in this picture, unevenly distributed houses, unevenly structured houses. There is no systematic arrangement, right? But when you go up, when you travel in a plane and you have an aerial view of this city, you will see it like this. Doesn't it look structured, systematically distributed, right? But this is the same city. This is the aerial view. This one is the aerial view of this city only. But this looks structured. That is what the poet is saying. So he says that when I go up into the sky, I see that the city has developed in a geographical manner, in a structured manner. Though it does not look like this when I am on the ground, but now I can figure out that from the aerial view, it appears to be systematic. There seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard. Inevitability means surety. He says this is sure. It seems to be sure that what on ground looks haphazard, what on ground looks without any plan or order, unplanned, without style. When the jet sprang up, it was clear that the city had developed in a way, seeing it scaled. That when the thing that looked haphazard, unplanned on the ground, but when the jet sprang up, it looked clear that it was developed and it was scaled. That means systematically arranged. In the second paragraph, the poet says, when the jet reached 10,000 feet, it was clear why the country had cities where the rivers ran and why the valleys were populated. So, in the first paragraph, he was 6 inches to the mile. 6 inches were left to reach a mile. A mile is actually a measuring quantity. 1 mile is approximately equal to 5,000 feet. So in the first paragraph, just 6 inches was left to complete 1 mile, and he could see the structured city which on ground looked unplanned. And when he reached 10,000 feet, that means approximately 2 miles, it was clear why country had cities where the river ran. So he saw now water bodies were also visible to him. So what did he see? He see that the cities have been developed near the rivers and the valleys were populated. What is a valley? Suppose there are 2 mountains and there's a region between these mountains. This region is valley. Now in valley you will find a river flowing, and around these rivers you will find some not but many houses. Why have there overcrowded valleys or cities developed near water bodies? Because man needs water for survival. It is important source of survival. The logic of geography that land and water attracted man. So it is said man is attracted by land and water. Man needs land to live and water to survive. And he says this logic comes from which subject? Geography. So he says this thing, when I see that cities and valleys are populated near the river, then the concept of geography that land and water attracted man was clearly delineated. Delineated means to show. So he said it was clearly shown to me that man is attracted by water and land because he has taken shelter near the water bodies, and the valleys were populated because it has the resource of river. You can see here in the picture, this is a valley, these are 2 mountains. Now you can see these are houses, and here it's the water body flowing. It's not visible right now because of the fog, but this is a water body and these are houses, overcrowded valleys, and these are mountains. Third paragraph. Now in the second paragraph, he had reached 10,000 feet. He was at 10,000 feet height. Now he is, when this jet rose 6 miles high. 1 mile is approximately 5,000. So 6 miles will be approximately 30,000 feet. So now he is at 30,000 feet high. It was clear the earth was round and that it had more sea than land. So we know this thing that on earth 70% is water and 30% is land. So he said, when I reached the height of 6 miles, it was clear that earth has more water than land. But it was difficult to understand that the men on the earth found causes to hate each other, to build walls across cities, and to kill from heights. It was not clear why. So here the poet says that when he reached here, he found that the man has settled around water bodies and that there are more water bodies than land. But he says one thing is difficult to understand for me, and that thing is that if the earth is round, all the men are same, their needs are same, then why is it that they hate each other? From where did this hate originate? He says this fact is unclear to me. Remember in the first when we were discussing about what the poet is trying to say, there we came to know that some facts were clear to him while others were not. So the facts of cities being unstructured and the facts that why man has taken shelter near the water bodies is clear, but the fact that if the need of these all these people is same, that why is there hatred between them? He said this fact is still not clear to me, even if I have reached a height of 6 miles. So this is what the poet is trying to say. As you can see here, the earth is round. We all know earth is round shape, but and mostly surrounded by water. As you can see, blue part is water and the green part is land. So he says that I am unclear of the fact that why there is hatred, there is fight, there is dispute between countries, between men, and he wants that this should be resolved and everybody should live peacefully in harmony. So that was the poem, geography lesson in your English subject.